Good morning. Welcome into Five Clubs. Great to have you with us here on Golf Channel, live from our studios here in Charlotte, North Carolina. You can also listen, of course, that's PGA TOUR Radio, Sirius XM's Channel 92. I'm Gary Williams. This program, it's always brought to you by Century Insurance. Business insurance needs, if you have them, if you have a business, reach out to Century. They will be right by you. They will do right by you. And they invest in golf in great ways with the USGA and the First Tee. We are proud to have them along with us, as we are with Golf Pride, the premier brand of grips globally. More players, every level, more options, better materials. It is Golf Pride. And of course, Peter Millar, when it comes to anything you need, whatever time of the year it is, whether it is a pair of swim trunks in July or you need a cashmere overcoat in January, they have it all. They're the premier lifestyle brand. Everything I've got on today is Peter Millar, but you cannot purchase this jacket, not because it's sold out, but because it's got a little age on it. That story in just a moment. Taylor Zarzour, his program just ended on PGA TOUR Radio, and he better be in his car, and he better be listening. Headed in Charlotte traffic to this studio. He's going to be with me from the moment he arrives and gets mic'd up to the end of the program. Looking forward to having him in town here because he's a busy man. I mean, really, he's the Mike Tirico of the SEC/NFL/television radio, not to mention doing his radio show on PGA TOUR Radio. So he's going to be with me in about a half hour's time, hopefully less. We got a lot to get to with him. And we also have other things to get to because it's our getaway day. You know what that means? Dogs. We release the hounds on Wednesday. Send them to us. If you got a dog that loves the game of golf, is around it, dogs at fiveclubsgolf.com. Plus, we're going to do picks. Abu Dhabi, great field. Last two events of the DP World Tour schedule begins early morning hours tomorrow, which is a great thing. This event used to be the beginning of the year. Now it's at the end of the year as a playoff event. And we've got some quotes from a guy I'm going to talk about in a moment. But this ensemble, which I said has got a little bit of age, and the guys in the studio said, do you want us to turn the temperature down? You got a lot of layers on. When I wore this ensemble, and I like layers for the first time, I was outside. There we were inside. That was 10 years ago, almost to the day. Player Nicklaus, Trevino, Palmer, was the last time they were together for a television interview, which I was lucky enough to conduct, to say it was a highlight, please. Zenith, Apex, Summit. It was all of those things. Jim Nantz was the last person to be with them on a stage together. I believe that was in Houston later on that year. But the reason why I share that is because, not because, hey, look at me, I'm with them. That was a heck of a day for so many reasons, way beyond that photograph. It's because I want to share just some thoughts about, where the PGA Tour is, because they're heading into what I think is going to be a season of change. And I'm not talking about the holiday season. I'm talking about 2026 and a little bit, and probably maybe even more significantly in 2027, because all professional sports enterprises have their most valuable assets. They are the players. They are the performers. And I've said this countless times. Stars drive those sports. The underdog needs the door to be ajar because that storyline, that thread is valuable to sports. And that's why the Blue Jays and the Dodgers was particularly compelling. It's not like the Blue Jays were the bad news bears. They were a great team. But the Dodgers have this persona. And so beating them would have been considered, I don't think a monumental upset, but Vegas would say pretty significant. The point is the assets the PGA Tour has. Look at those four guys in that photo. Think about it. Player, Nicklaus, Trevino, Palmer. Not only were they great, they were great for a long time. One last point about them before I talk about where I think the PGA Tour is and the most valuable assets they have. Not only were those guys great, and Palmer was kind of Steve McQueen. He was Clint Eastwood, and then he evolved into being John Wayne later on in life, because television and golf got engaged and they used him rightfully as the main character. He walked right out of central casting. And unfortunately, he didn't win a major championship after the age of 34. That was the 1964 Masters. He came agonizingly close several other times, 66 at the Olympic Club, 7 up with 9 to go, 5 up, 4 to go. But the other 3, think about how valuable they were to the growth as television was trying to understand how to make golf a television property. Gary Player in 1978 was 42 when he won the Masters. That was his final major championship. In 1984 at the PGA at Shoal Creek, Lee Trevino was 44. And in 86, he was 46. Not only were they great, boy, were they great for a long period of time. And even Arnold, even though he didn't win a major after 34, people showed up to watch him play golf, so much so that the USGA in 1980 had a minimum age requirement for the U.S. Senior Open that was 55. He turned 50 in 81, and guess what happened to the minimum age? It dropped 5 years, so he could be immediately eligible. So the PGA Tour heads into 2026, and you're going, okay, I know who the stars are, but who's the most valuable assets that the PGA Tour has? So here's kind of my own thinking on this. And let's start with the 5th most valuable. And again, all this stuff's interchangeable. It's just my thoughts. Jordan Spieth, and you're going, hey, man, you're living in the past, man. Remember Eric the Clown on that episode of Seinfeld when he said that to Costanza? That, by the way, was Jon Favreau. I digress. I'm not living in the past. Yes, it was 10 years ago that he had that golden magical year, but he is still a young man. And here's the other part about Spieth. He had traction, he had juice, and his ride when he's in contention is a roller coaster. You want to vomit when it's over and you can't wait to get back on. And if he wins again, don't worry. He will immediately affirm what I'm saying about his value to the PGA Tour. At number 4, he's 34. And that's kind of rare to ascend to where you're the most valuable you've been to whatever it is that you're involved with in this game, because usually prime happens earlier, and it wasn't like he wasn't good before. He won a lot on the European Tour, but winning the Tour Championship, being great at the Ryder Cup, not just this year, but on other occasions as well, and he's delightful. Tommy Fleetwood has great value to the PGA Tour, and a lot of people believe next year will be his best year. Number 3, I don't know what his handicap index is, and it doesn't matter. He may not break 90 in the handful of times he plays golf in 2026, but Brian Rolap, to me, is one of the most valuable assets the PGA Tour has. He comes from the Shield, the National Football League, and the change that's going to occur, real change to the PGA Tour, is primarily going to be his responsibility, and people are going to want to talk to him. And here's the thing about him. His stage where he has to perform is in front of the media. And based on what I've seen, he's damn good at it. He is very valuable for a company that is totally different now. They are for profit. They are open for business. At number 2 is Rory McIlroy. Look, we're going to show you quotes from him earlier today in Abu Dhabi. He's quotable, he's polarizing, he's dynamic. He is a iconic figure. He is a member of the Grand Slam Club as well. And so Rory McIlroy also is great for the PGA Tour because, look, it's November. And even though it's the DP World Tour, he's playing this week, he's playing next week, he's going to play the Australian Open. He remains visible later in the year. And even though, again, it's not the PGA Tour, he's primarily playing the bulk of his golf on the PGA Tour. He's huge. And he's box office. And at number 1, you're saying, no, I think Rory's a bigger star than Scottie. That's fair. But Scottie Scheffler's more valuable for a couple of reasons. 1, he's more reliable. He lives in the top 10, which means when network television starts on the weekend, guess what? He's teeing off late. He generally lives in the top 5. He had 12 of them this year. He's a more prolific winner. And over the last 4 years, when he started to win, he has 18 more starts on the PGA Tour than Rory does. He keeps it here. So what does that mean for the PGA Tour? They get a month more of Scottie Scheffler. Think about that if you're CBS and NBC and ESPN Plus and PGA Tour Live. Think about that. That's a month more of him, and not just being in fields. Like I said, 17 top 10s, 12 top 5s, 6 wins. He lives on television. Because it's not like, well, why do you keep showing him he's 9 back? We keep showing him because he's 4 ahead or he's 1 back. He's the most reliable asset. And you know what a synonym of reliability is? Valuable. So those are, to me, the most valuable assets the PGA Tour has as they head into 2026. But here's the other thing about that is that if you want to argue that there are others that you would put in their places, that's totally fair. I think it'd be hard to argue and displace 1 and 2. I think what's interesting is that you have players, because at the beginning of last year, there's no doubt that Xander Schauffele was one of those 5. In all likelihood, whether it was Rolap, who wasn't with the company, or whether it was Tommy Fleetwood, he was most certainly in the 5. So he can return. And he is somebody who is good in front of the media, and he's also a very reliable, consistent player. No, by the way, he always plays the weekend. For all the talk about Scottie Scheffler approaching maybe some of the things that only Tiger is associated with, because Scottie's made 59 straight cuts, Xander's made 72. And again, for television, those things are so important. But I also think that there are younger players like someone like Ludwig Åberg. And it doesn't matter that he's not from here. And I'm not saying he's going to be Federer, but he's got like Federer vibes to him. He's regal. He's refined. And he's got this I'm not too cool. I think he's got humility, but he's somebody who could, by the end of 2026, he could easily be on that list. All right, we take a break here. Taylor Zarzour joining me as he fights Charlotte traffic. Fight hard, my man. I'm counting on you because I'm looking forward, as I always do, to the conversation. But we are going to make an audible. A lot of NFL quarterbacks don't call their own plays anymore. We audible right here at the line of scrimmage. Dogs and picks coming next as opposed to the end of the program. Taylor a little bit later on. Getaway day for us on a Wednesday. 5 Clubs Golf Channel, PGA Tour Radio, Sirius XM. Back with you right after this. Wednesday edition of 5 Clubs here on Golf Channel and PGA Tour Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 92. And this segment is brought to you by Golf Pride. My Align Max grips. I hit some balls this past weekend, and I honestly think during the colder months, I'm going to love them even more. Check those out. They have a more comprehensive line of grips than any other grip company in the world. Plus, their reverse taper putter grip system is tremendous. Golf Pride. You saw that. Dogs. You're going, I thought you did that at the end. Well, we audible. We got Taylor Zarzour. You beat the traffic, man. He's already here. So we get to our dogs of the week. If you have a dog that you take to the golf course, watches golf with you, take it in the range, take her to the range, send a photo of your dog to us. Give us a little bio on that dog. We will put your dog on this program. We love them. Here are your dogs of the week here on this Wednesday. That's Rex on the left, Jack's on the right. That's Isla del Sol Country Club in St. Pete Beach, Florida. That is John Dunn pictured with the dogs on the 3rd hole. That is Stella. That is Kevin Young's dog. Stella was a stray, showed up one day, made herself at home at Steel Canyon Golf Club in Sandy Springs, Georgia. Now lives, chases the geese away. Excellent work by Stella. That's Rufus with Mike Merrow. That is at Laurel Creek Country Club in Moorestown, New Jersey. Rufus, great looking dog there. How about Eddie? On the perch. That is Paul Williams' dog. That's the 10th tee box at Chilhurst Golf Club in the United Kingdom. And then finally, those are Grady and Fitzy. Grady on the right making the catch. Barbara Lambo sent those pictures in, pictured with Pop. That is Bob Lambro. And you can see that dog chasing that Frisbee. That is at La Paloma Country Club in Tucson, Arizona. All right, those are your dogs of the week. And like I said, please send in photos and videos of the dogs. It's dogs@5clubsgolf.com. We haven't been doing picks every single week because when the Tour Championship ended, we took a little break. Actually, I think we did the Pro Court 2 weeks later. Whew, what an off season because there were so many Ryder Cup members in the field. But we are going to pick the Abu Dhabi HSBC Championship. This is an excellent field, one of 2 playoff events on the DP World Tour. So our entire staff, I'm very proud of Gil Hanse. I don't know where he was on a bulldozer yesterday. He was second in submitting in picks. Usually we have to send out an APB to get Gil to submit a pick. So me and Brendan, as soon as Brendan was last, and when I saw Tommy, I went, oh no, don't saddle me with your pick. I go Fleetwood, so does he. Gil Hanse takes Tyrrell Hatton, as does Jay Billis, who's back at work finally. His summer of fun is over, playing golf, NBA and college basketball for him. Emma Carpenter saw her at the Titleist Performance Center. She goes with Matt Fitzpatrick. And then Taylor plays the Rory card. He's got a great record in Abu Dhabi, has never won there. And Johnson Wagner picks the guy who is paired with Rory to start the week, Marco Penju's number 2 in the standings, who's won 3 times. You'll see a lot of him on the PGA Tour this coming season. Interesting, just a couple notes about Rory, because we're going to talk with Taylor more about his comments he made about LIV making the decision that they made. New driver in the bag for him this week. Just passed USGA conforming testing earlier this week, so a new driver for him, which you would like to believe. He's going to use it 3 times in competition before the end of the year. This week, next week in Dubai, and then the Australian Open. One other thing about Rory in this tournament, I think he has 9 top 3s in Abu Dhabi. 4 times he was second. I loved this event when we started Morning Drive because it was always played in January. It was at the beginning when we started the show in 2011, and he was always right there in contention. He ran second to Martin Keimer, distant second. Martin won by 8. Robert Rock, great flow. Excellent flow on Robert Rock. And then Pablo Larrazábal, and then Gary Stahl, all by 1 shot. Rock, Larrazábal, Stahl, all beat Rory by 1 shot in Abu Dhabi. And he said today, I want that Falcon trophy. That is a top 5 trophy in golf. So Rory early tomorrow on Golf Channel, and all those other guys, obviously top players, many European Ryder Cup members, 7 of them who were at Bethpage in the field this week at the HSBC. All right, we take a break. When we continue, he joins me for the balance of the program. Much to get to. We are not going to be talking about the second half of the season of the Tennessee Titans because he is the voice of Tighten Up. We continue here. Taylor Zarzour with me on 5 Clubs right after this. Back in on this Wednesday edition of 5 Clubs Golf Channel, PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 on Sirius XM. Of course, this segment brought to you by Peter Millar. When it comes to making that adjustment, it was 41 degrees when I got in the car. I wanted to put on 6 layers. I settled for 3. It is layering season. Nobody will lay you up better than Peter Millar at petermillar.com. He's chuckling because he knows I like to layer. I don't know how he's doing what he does. Because whether it's a radio show all week long on PGA Tour Radio, the starter, and then he's somewhere on campus on a Saturday in the Southeastern Conference, and then on Sunday, he's somewhere in the National Football League. And you know where he is on Monday morning? He's on the starter. I don't know how you're doing it. Taylor Zarzour, my friend. Good to see you. Good morning.
It's a labor of love, Gary.
I know it is.
Yeah.
I know it is. I mean, Tarico and you know, and I know how much you love him.
Yeah.
You are now approaching doing things that I remind him of, like Thursday here and Friday there. And so I don't know how you're getting from Starkville, Mississippi to anywhere in 24 hours.
That is very complicated. Very complicated leaving Starkville. So, yeah, that was challenging. Fayetteville, Arkansas, back to Nashville was a little challenging. Just 1 game, though, this week, Gary. The Titans are off.
Yes.
So we will remain 1-8 going into our next game against the Texans. But just the Auburn-Vanderbilt game, one of your alma maters this weekend, Auburn at Vanderbilt in Nashville on the West End on Saturday. Very excited about that. Is it still golf season? Are we still talking golf right now?
We're going to get to your golf season to wrap this thing up. With no work on Sunday, don't be like Frank the Tank asking if KFC is still open late Saturday night because you don't have to work the next day.
Well, I have to hold on to YouTube TV for Golf Channel and for Sunday Ticket. So
that's true.
Yes.
All right. I know on your program there's probably something that we're going to share momentarily that you've already discussed. Let's do it here. Rory McIlroy is always quotable. Look, there's value in Rory doing what he's doing. He is being helpful to the DP World Tour. I get it. He's pursuing a 7th Harry Vardon trophy, which would now put him ahead of Seve, one behind Monty. He's going to the Australian Open. In terms of weighting wins late in the year, look, these are good fields.
Yeah.
They're not overall in depth. Like winning a signature series event. How do you weight a win like if he won this week?
Well, I think it's a good question because I don't know that the public weights it because I don't know how much
they're paying attention.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how much the American public is paying attention or the world for that matter. But I do. I would say this. Scottie Scheffler deserves to be the PGA Tour Player of the Year. There is not even a debate about that.
Undeniably.
Right. Whose season would I have rather had? Rory's.
Get it?
Yeah, I'd rather be a Ryder Cup hero, complete the career Grand Slam in the way that he did, win these meaningful national opens. He won the Irish Open this year. He won at Pebble. He won the Players. The season that he's had is probably more life-giving than the one that Scottie had. Certainly Scottie, I'm sure, is celebrating, if he does, those 2 major championship victories and another unbelievable year. But I would have rather had Rory's. So yeah, sure, I weighed it. I think that it's extremely impressive, and I agree with him. I think it's the best year of his entire career, whether he takes home the PGA Tour Player of the Year award or not.
I would tend to agree, and I know there are people going to say, come on, 2014 he won 2 majors. He sandwiched a World Golf Championship between those. No, the Masters thing has a value that is so weighty that I absolutely agree with you. The other thing that I think, in whether it's thinking about it at the end of the year or in 5 years or 10 years, and considering his place all time, which will be a continuing conversation, making a choice to be golf's best global player in winning in all points, to me, I weight that. That has value to me.
It absolutely does. And so I would ask you, top 5? I mean, could you get to top 5, you think, in the next 7-8 years if you're Rory McIlroy all time?
He's got to get, I mean, when you're talking about top 5, look, there are the guys that have 6 who are right in front of him.
Sure.
And Lee Trevino's one of them.
Yeah.
And then, you talk about 7, you're talking about Seed, you're talking about Palmer, and then you start talking about all the wins that they had. And again, he's got more wins. That's why it'll be fun for us over the next couple of years. Now, let's get to what he had to say earlier today. And that was about the decision Lib made yesterday to announce that they're going to go to 72 holes of competition. Will still be a shotgun. The music will be loud. But they're going to 72 holes. Let's put up for people watching on Golf Channel, if you have not heard, we're not listening to Taylor's show. Here's a portion of what Rory had to say when asked about Liv going to 72 holes. He said, quote, "I think it's a peculiar move because I think they could have got ranking points with 3 rounds. I don't think 3 rounds versus 4 rounds is what was holding them back. It certainly puts them more in line with traditional golf tournaments that we've all done. It brings them back into not really being a destructor and sort of is falling more in line with what everyone else does." Your reaction to his reaction?
Well, I think that there are some points that he makes about the strength of field and how much official world golf rankings are really going to help Live Golf, or whatever we're going to call Live Golf since it's no longer 54 holes. That's another topic.
It's a new branding opportunity.
Lixie or whatever we're going to use Roman numerals for now. I don't know how we're going to get to that point. He does make some points that they have a long way to go. I would disagree with him, though. I do think this is a good step for them. I think that they need to make a lot more steps in order to be seen as legitimate by the consumer. I don't think they're seen as legitimate by the consumer. I think they're seen as an exhibition. Having done some preseason NFL football this season, it feels like that. That's what Live Golf feels like. But I do think that 72 holes of golf is going to get them closer to official world golf ranking points. Having more of a way to qualify for their circuit is going to help them get official world golf ranking points. But you just referenced the issues. Loud music, shorts, shotgun starts, leaderboards that are absolutely impossible to understand. And what hole is HV3 finishing on? Can't wait to get in his pocket maybe in the next 24 hours. But what hole is John Rahm on? Where is Bryson DeChambeau? Who has the lead? What are the Smashers doing right now? I can't follow all that stuff. What he said about being a disruptor. Okay, well, that was Greg Norman who wanted to be a disruptor. Mm-hmm. If Scott O'Neill, who I think wants to be legitimate, the guy that runs LIV, if he wants to be legitimate, then they need to make more of these kinds of decisions, Gary. They need to get rid of the shotgun start. They need to be seen as more of an intense competition moving forward. And I would argue this is a step, a small step.
Yeah, no, I would agree that it's a step. I've always associated elite championship golf with 72 holes. That's what it is. And as you're saying what you were saying, I can see all the bots being released onto your social media handles.
Bring it. Bring it. I don't know how to check it, so bring it.
With the torches and pitchforks. One other thing about the world ranking points, and I think his point is valid about if these guys are so dragged down right now because they haven't been accruing them outside of major championship starts, what impact will it have? You got to take a long view. I mean, you just do. And you know, look, they have guys who've been pretty damn reliable in majors, starting with Bryson. I think John Rahm, you and I would both agree we're bullish that he'll contend in majors in 2026. I do think it's a good step. I don't think it's peculiar. I think there are certain things that they do need to hold on to, whether you like them or I like them, that do distinguish them from whether it's the DP World Tour, or more importantly, the PGA Tour. Let's get to some specific individuals. The Fleetwood thing is fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Very fun.
He's delightful.
Yes.
It was whether you go, come on, he shouldn't have won the FedEx Cup, let him win the Tour Championship. I can separate those two, give him whatever you want to give him. Do you buy, Nick Doherty was on the show yesterday, he's not the only one, who believed that his ascension is going to continue in 26. Do you share that?
I think I do. I guess my only hesitation is it doesn't always work this way. I mean, outside of a couple of people, it doesn't always work this way where you have this Scottie Scheffler meteoric rise and it lasts for 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years. In many cases, it lasts for a year or two. You have the season of your life.
Yep.
And that's it. And away it goes, and then you get back into the middle somewhere and you pop your head out every so often. So I would like to think that he is still going to be one of the 5 to 10 best players in the world. I think he's an extraordinarily good Ryder Cup player.
Yeah.
But the man more than I love Tommy Fleetwood.
Yeah.
He's one of the most admirable people in golf. And
Great
one of the
word
reasons
for him.
And one of the reasons I do is because of how he values the people in his life most before golf. I think he has his priorities together. And because he has his priorities together, if he needs to do something with his son or his stepson or his wife, he will. And especially now that he's achieved some of these things, I think that golf in certain cases may take a back seat, and it should. So I say that to tell you, I don't know that this is going to last forever, but I think it's incredible that he achieved it. Do I like his chances at Shinnecock next year? Absolutely.
Sure.
But in the Masters, I haven't really ever seen him have a real chance in the Masters, and I'm not ready to say that next year all of a sudden he will.
Yeah, his third at the 24 Masters, he was well back. He was not like deep in the hot water of the cauldron with a chance to win it. You're right, you go back to that second in 2018, incredible final round. 41 major championship starts, 8 top 10s. That's fine.
Yeah.
I just think it's hard to earmark like he's going to win a major. We don't know his form in April. There's so many variables. Can he have multiple wins on the PGA Tour, which could make it maybe his best season ever? Sure. I struggle to earmark majors for people other than when we do the Major Championship Preview Show.
Which I love.
When we're obligated to do that. Let me ask you about the start of the year. People, I think, overreact to television ratings in January. You talk about get out of the way of football even for the Ryder Cup. I do not get hysterical about how many people are watching golf in January. However, the Century goes away. There's only one event in Hawaii. Then you go to the Amex. You got the Farmers. Are you concerned about the first month of the PGA Tour season in terms of who's playing and who's not?
Not necessarily. What I am intrigued by is this sort of a precedent for the future? is there a chance that we are going to have less golf in January on the PGA Tour in, say, 2027, 2028, and beyond? I would think that Brian Rolap, who was just on your list of assets, the CEO of the PGA Tour, I would think he would like to get out of the way of football. This man cares deeply about the ratings and how many people are connecting to the game. And he should, by the way. And I do, as this futures committee that is deciding when to play golf on the PGA Tour, and he keeps using the word scarcity, to me, January could be a spot where we see less golf, especially since we didn't have the Century this year. The Sony's contract is up. It wouldn't surprise me, Gary, if the PGA Tour season started a little later in January. I do think for all the people that are watching Golf Channel right now, that are listening to SiriusXM PGA Tour Radio, that are wired similarly to you and I think that we're going to miss it more. I think that we're going to be more enthusiastic when it comes back. But I do think there's a real chance we might have a late January start. And I wonder, is it, as you have suggested, is it going to be in the middle of the week? Are we going to try to get out of the way of the playoffs? We should, by the way.
Yeah.
Shouldn't put a golf tournament on while the NFL playoffs are going on.
Yep.
Those are fascinating things to me. We should not be playing golf after late August on the PGA Tour or deciding big events. And that was a smart move by Jay Monahan. I think it would be a smart move by Brian Rolap on when to start it, too, because you have an even bigger audience of NFL viewers in January than you do in September.
Yeah, it's true. Good points. I was going to get to this later, but I'll address it now. And with respect to Sony, like you said, last year their contract, Century has an agreement. Are they, I don't know this, are they repositioned a little bit later on? Does the season start later? Does it not even go to Hawaii? We don't know that. Which gets me to the idea of this alliance with the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour. Again, asked this of Nick Doherty yesterday in terms of how do you deepen it? And what if the PGA Tour doesn't start in January? You already have some casualties of top players, including Rory, who makes the choice to start the year in Abu Dhabi. Why not exempt some PGA Tour players, which would get in anyway, and it's not a PGA Tour event, but you have an opportunity through a point system. Let the DP World Tour start early in the morning. Let January be more their month. And you still see, you get an appetite of the top players.
It makes a ton of sense of doing that. And going back to the LIV conversation, if there is a road forward, as Scott O'Neill is suggesting, between LIV Golf and the PGA Tour, he said he's had conversations with Brian Rolap, and I know they've known each other for a long time. If there is a road forward, Gary, with LIV Golf, the DP World Tour, and the PGA Tour, then LIV should be competing between September and January. And they should be going all over the world. They should get out of the way of February through August. I don't think it makes any sense for them to compete, especially in our country, against the PGA Tour. It's obvious that everyone watching and listening to us right now prefers the PGA Tour and its format. We've gone through this for years, and the people have spoken. They want the PGA Tour. So LIV Golf, if they're smart, will combine forces with the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour and play its events from September through January. And maybe they can help funnel more money into the DP World Tour for some of their most prestigious events that you're suggesting. If LIV Golf were connected to those events that you just talked about in January in Abu Dhabi or wherever they decided to play, if they play the Australian Open in December or in January and LIV's involved in that, that would make those golf tournaments even bigger.
Yeah, one other thing when you were talking about entryways into LIV, one thing they are doing, which is a story to follow. They're going to add a few players to their fields next year. They're doing their qualifying series not outside of North America. They're doing it in the state of Florida, which puts players who have fashions of being on the PGA Tour in peril of not being on tour, which again, be interesting to see if players, I don't want to say cross the picket line, but nonetheless, they're doing it in the States and not overseas.
And the PGA Tour should protect its turf.
And they've made it clear that they will.
If I'm working in Ponte Vedra Beach, I would feel that way.
You do?
Yeah,
a lot.
I do. It's a fair point. In the interest of full
and
disclosure.
Oxford, Mississippi.
Yes, I do go there from time to time, but I fully support their position on that.
Yeah. All right, we take a break. Much more to get to with Taylor. Great to have him not only here, but in town.
Yes.
Because he's got a lot of homes. but Nash Vegas is where he calls home in the fall season, during football season. Much more with him right here on 5 Clubs Golf Channel, PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92, Sirius XM. Back with him right after this. Back in this Wednesday edition of 5 Clubs Golf Channel and PGA Tour Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 92. This segment brought to you by Century Insurance. They are right by you. Business insurance needs are met at Century. Taylor Zarzour with me. I don't know if he's got Myers Park and Audrey Kell volleyball at 3 o'clock on public access television today. Who knows? He's
cheering for the Mustangs, by the way, as a proud parent of
yes,
2 graduates.
There you go. You've got Vandy, Auburn. It will always be Vanderbilt Stadium and Dudley Field to me.
Yes.
I'm glad they changed the name because they've changed the personnel. But you're still doing the starter, of course, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. on PGA Tour Radio. I gave my 5 most valuable assets on the PGA Tour going into 2026. I love having these conversations with you. Who would your 5 most valuable assets be?
Well, I don't know if we're rolling in graphics here, but like you did. But I like the call of Brian Rolap, and I did have him on my list. I would have him probably at the back end of my list, and so he'd be number 5 there. Then after that, in no particular order, I had Jordan Spieth. Let's do Rolap 5, Spieth 4. Mm-hmm. Number 3 on that list would be Keegan Bradley. He's the one guy you did not have on that list. And I think that this man, even through an American loss, has just built this unbelievable connection to American fans. And, you know, Patrick Reed may have been called Captain America for a long time, but Keegan Bradley is Captain Keegan Bradley from now on. And anytime this guy does anything, he's going to hear those USA chants. And I think there are many people out there, self-included, that'd like to see him get another run in the Ryder Cup.
Yep.
But I think he's number 3. And then I would have Scottie Scheffler number 2, and I'd have Rory McIlroy number 1.
Okay, what would you say about my point that when Scottie Scheffler, over the course of 4 years, gives the PGA Tour 18 more starts than Rory? The value of that
I think
to television. He also is more reliable. He lives in the top 5. He's always in the TV window. And I also think, here's the other thing that I think, superstars and Rory is more polarized. He's more dynamic. But guess what? When you do things others don't do,
that's fair.
Sound bites don't matter.
Yeah, no, I think it's fair if you want to put him 1 and put Rory 2. I wouldn't wrestle with you on that.
But I get
the point is the one you just made, though. Scottie just doesn't, he's not interested in all of that. Scottie, if everybody stopped watching Scottie and they said, we're not going to broadcast this golf tournament, Scottie would still be doing exactly what Scottie is doing. Yeah. He's a killer. He just wants to win, and that's what he's passionate about. I think everything that happens in Rory's life, Rory's passionate about. Mm-hmm. I think there are a lot of things that come with Scottie's life he's not as passionate about, and that's probably why I would put Rory number 1.
Okay. Give me 2 guys who you think, whether it's at the end of 26 or have a chance to be as valuable, not necessarily as Scottie or Rory, but would be in your top 5. Give me 2 futures.
All right, so I get to take the lead here.
Yeah.
Okay. Neil Shipley would be 1.
I like it.
And Jackson Koiven would be the other.
Okay.
I think that one thing that's really fun about watching golf and connecting to it is kind of getting lost in, this guy is going to be the next big thing. Shipley with the hair and just how unconventional he is, I think is a reason for that. And the way he connects to an audience, he's just an engaging, gregarious guy. And then I think Koiven, if this guy continues to live in the top 10 on the PGA Tour as a professional player, when he eventually decides to leave Auburn University and play professionally, then I think that we always get excited, enthusiastic about that, Gary. A rookie, a guy that's this quickly making a jump. Now, Luke Clanton was terrific as a college player playing on the PGA Tour. As a professional player, it's been a bit of a struggle. So I'm interested to see how that transition goes for Koiven, but those would be my futures pick.
Okay. Koiven has got some Scheffler in him. He's not, he's a pretty sedate guy. I get the Shipley thing. By the way, Keegan is on my futures list.
Oh, okay.
Because all the points you made about the way that he's gained this level of affection and appreciation from fans. The other thing is, it's one thing to like people. They have to have value. They have to be seen. They have to win.
Yes.
And that gets me to the whole Keegan and the Ryder Cup thing. You want to run it back and go Captain Keegan in 27. Give me the thought process behind that.
Okay, there's a couple things. First of all, I need to mention this, and I need to make this really, really clear. The European team won the Ryder Cup. The Americans did not lose it. We can play armchair quarterback, and I know that all of us must critique any team that loses in sports all of the time and not
How would you and I have ever had a career
and not concentrate on the winners? But Europe won the Ryder Cup. They're hitting better shots from the rough than the Americans are from the fairway.
What rough?
There wasn't much of one, and yes, that's one thing that we certainly should scrutinize. And I know Keegan has said it.
Yeah.
He would like to change certainly the setup of the golf course. But the European team won. The Americans were hitting great shots into the green, and Europe was hitting better shots into the green. We have to give them the credit. I don't think there was anything that was going to be done to win that Ryder Cup, which is why I would keep the continuity the same. I'd have Webb Simpson, Brandt Snedeker, Kevin Kisner as vice captains. I'd have Keegan Bradley again as a captain, and I'd give all of these guys 2 years to get ready to go to Ireland and compete over there and have a real chance to knock off the European team. The strength of Luke Donald is that he has lived through this as a player and a vice captain and a captain. And I think all those experiences is what has built such an incredible bond for that team. Mm-hmm. And I would say the same thing needs to happen for the United States of America. I love Tiger Woods, and I think that his connection to the game is so vital. It still is. I almost put him on my assets list, even though he doesn't almost ever play golf.
Yeah.
But him just jumping into the Ryder Cup is a lot different than just jumping into the President's Cup.
All that is sensible. Here's what I would say about why I would not do that. Keegan Bradley has an incomplete playing career in the Ryder Cup. First, because a lot of people think he was snubbed on the last team in Rome. And even more so now, because most people thought he should have been on the team, even though he was the captain. And if they did it, if he chose to do that, I wouldn't have thought it would have worked out exceptionally well, but I would have understood it, and he absolutely was among the 12. Let him devote these 2 years to making another team. Yeah. And you want to make him Hazeltine? You want to go all the way to the Olympic Club? Whatever. That's fine. Another captaincy for him makes complete sense. But let him focus on being a player at least one more time.
Gary, if that's what's on his heart and that's what he wants to do, then I wouldn't push him on that.
But all the things you said about continuity and vice captaincies and all those things, and having this sense of we're pulling the sled all in the same direction with an intellectual investment that is in line with one another, I totally agree with that.
More than anyone that I can think of in the history of the competition, he deserves great experiences in the Ryder Cup. As he has said, it has broken his heart.
Not Jarmo Sandelin. Didn't he feel kind of shortchanged only playing one match?
So sorry, Jarmo, that you got benched and we didn't see much of you until Sunday. But, look, there have been, and our guy Andrew Coulthard is another example of that. But, no, Keegan deserves to have a wonderful experience. He deserves to open that bag eventually.
But it's only wonderful if they win, whether he's the captain or the player.
Man, it's been so painful.
I thought what he said right after it was over, like, I got a really complicated relationship with this competition. It's true. All right, you've got on a nice little shirt jacket there.
But only 2 layers, not 3.
Well, you may put on another one before the end of the day if you're smart. You said last week on your program, if the temperature doesn't start with a 5, you ain't playing golf.
Confirmed.
Really?
Confirmed.
Really? Let me tell you something. I could put a list together of exemptions that could get to 10 before the show's over in 90 seconds.
Now listen.
Let's start with a little place. Take I-77 to I-20, and
I love that place.
About 2 hours and 15 minutes.
Love that place very, very much. If we're really splitting hairs, I don't want to play it when it's not ideal.
I didn't say you don't want to, but you would.
And be cold. And you're correct. I probably would be forced to do it still in a sub-50 temperature, but I don't like playing in.
I get that.
Okay. Now, if there's one thing, and this is really personal, but if there's one thing, if my wife ever decided she loved golf, which is a massive if, and she said, hey, I know it's a blizzard out today. Do you want to go play golf? I would do it.
I get it.
That would be the one thing that would get me to go into those kind of conditions. But no, I don't want to play Royal County down when it's blowing 30 and it's 40 degrees.
Oh, come on.
I don't want to.
But you would. Yeah, but by the way, Betsy is more likely to run from here to Gastonia than play 18 holes of golf.
It's true.
So even though you got a bye on the NFL side with the Titans, you got Vandy Auburn this weekend. Are you playing any golf at all in Nashville?
Oh, in Nashville.
Yeah. When you have a moment?
No, we're waiting on that, but we do have some plans. And
no, but I mean, with some friends, have you played a few rounds of golf?
One or two.
Okay.
Yeah. To the Vandy Legends Club, I played there. Played the golf club of Tennessee. Played the upper course that your buddy Gil did.
Yeah.
But no, we're sort of holding off until we really get serious in Nashville.
Always great seeing you, my friend. Thank you for coming in. Have a great second half of the season on the NFL. Vandy Auburn Saturday for him. We're back next Tuesday. Have a great rest of your week.